Hello, you're watching Eye on Africa. I'm James Creedon. These are our headlines this evening. Presidents and ministers from global powers have been crisscrossing Africa over the past few weeks. We'll get some analysis on the geopolitical chess game taking place on the continent. In Senegal, a recent election saw President Macky Sall's coalition lose control of parliament, but now a defection could radically change that picture in the president's favour. We'll hear more from Dakar. And controversial skincare products are common in many African countries, and more recently, drinks that promise consumers skin lightening have become common. We'll take a look at one product in Cameroon. Thanks for watching. Now, as we return to a multipolar world, nowhere is the rivalry for power and influence and interests more visible than in Africa. Now, this week, it was the US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, visiting South Africa, DR Congo and Rwanda. A few weeks ago, Emmanuel Macron visited Cameroon, Benin and Guinea-Bissau. In parallel, Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, visited the Republic of Congo, Egypt, Uganda and Ethiopia. All the while, China's influence grows on the continent. Now, to discuss all of that, we're joined this evening by Eric Olander, usually in Ho Chi Minh City, but currently in San Francisco. You're the editor-in-chief of the China Global South Project, Eric, and thank you so much for talking to us this evening on Eye on Africa.
Great to be here, James. Thanks for inviting me.
Now, I suppose let's start with, the most recent piece of news in terms of all of what I discussed there in the introduction. Antony Blinken visiting South Africa and during also DR Congo and Rwanda. Now, the competition with China sort of came up a number of times during that trip. He was, very much denying that he was there to counter Beijing's massive influence on the continent. But I think it can't be fully denied, can it?
Well, it can in one respect, because the people bringing up the competition with China were the journalists and the media, and that was the narrative that was coming out of the visit. But you did not hear that from the secretary himself, nor did you hear it from the foreign ministers that he was meeting with. Naledi Pandor in particular was trying to steer this away from great power competition. So the United States was going out of its way on this particular trip to downplay China. Compare the new strategy for Africa that had only one passive mention of China and only two mentions by the secretary in the speech, again, about climate change and debt relief, so not even antagonistic in that respect. Compare that to the previous administration's policy on China for Africa, which had 14 mentions of China by then National Security Advisor John Bolton. So a big change in tone from the administration on Africa. They do want to play down great power. They really are hoping to reset, in many ways, the relationship with Africa to be a more affirmative towards the United States. And really, again, you heard over and over again Secretary Blinken saying, we don't want to force African countries to choose. Now, what they say and what they do are two different things, possibly, but at least from the rhetoric, the secretary was trying to downplay the great power competition and shift the relationship back to a U.S.-Africa one.
Okay, and we saw Emmanuel Macron also visiting several African countries a few weeks ago. And during that trip, he took aim at Russia and at Sergei Lavrov. He made some remarks that didn't necessarily go down terribly well in Cameroon, talking about the sort of Russia being the last colonial power in terms of its behaviour, I suppose referring to Ukraine. But he got a little bit of criticism for remarks like that in countries that France had previously colonised. What of France's efforts to sort of push back against Russia's creeping influence in certain parts of the continent?
Well, let's be very clear here. France is in no position to be talking about colonialism. That was tone deaf of the highest order. Let's kind of go back to what the data tells us. Public opinion survey after public opinion survey puts the European powers, and France in particular, at the bottom. And so for Macron to be coming into Africa and talking about colonialism is just not reading the room right at all. Again, this is not a conversation that African presidents and prime ministers want to have with Emmanuel Macron. What was very clear at the Montpellier summit last year was that Africans, young people in particular, want France to stop with this type of paternalistic language towards Africa. They want a relationship that's more based on business, on trade, on investment, and enough with this type of paternalism. So I think Macron made a huge tactical error in leveraging that kind of rhetoric. With regards to Russia, Russia sees Africa the same way that all the other great powers look at Africa now, as a potential buffer in the great power politics and the rivalry that we're in. We are back in a period of great power rivalry, and Africa is not alone
in the little
as
bit
being
of time,
a theater for this.
In the little bit of time we have left,
as well.
In the little bit of time we have left, Eric, and it's such a vast topic. As soon as you start talking about it, you could go on for a very long time. But what of Africa sort of avoiding being viewed as a kind of a chessboard in this geopolitical games of great powers? Is there any hope for sort of, more, what would you say, autonomous Pan-African projects where Africa could perhaps aim for a greater degree of independence economically and otherwise from global powers? Or is that just a pipe dream?
That's a pipe dream right now. Africa is in a very vulnerable state. Most African countries are in either a combination of food distress, debt distress, financial distress, lack of access to capital markets. They need more engagement with the rest of the world, not less. This autonomy idea is probably not going to happen. We're also not seeing a lot of Pan-African initiatives on the regional level, maybe at the ECOWAS level and the East African community. We're starting to see some movement there. But right now, Africa needs more, not less, international engagement.
Eric Olander, in a little, just under 6 minutes, we covered an awful lot. Thank you so much for your thoughts this evening.
Thank you.
From San Francisco, and enjoy the rest of your holiday. Now, at the end of July, Senegal went to the polls to vote in a crucial parliamentary election. President Macky Sall's governing coalition was one seat short of maintaining its majority, potentially hamstringing the leader for the remainder of his term. Now, in the run-up to the reopening of Parliament, it looked as if for the first time in the country's history, the National Assembly would be held by the opposition. But a recent defection of an independent MP over to the governing coalition has dramatically changed the picture. Sam Bradpeace has more.
President Macky Sall and the governing coalition will be breathing a sigh of relief. The former mayor of Dakar has said that he would join their side in the National Assembly, effectively giving them a majority.
After careful consideration, I have decided to join the governing coalition to avoid a dramatic situation in our country. We could have seen institutional breakdown.
The opposition had hoped to control the parliament in the wake of last month's legislative election in what would have been a historical first for the country. They feel betrayed.
Pape Diop went looking for votes as an opposition candidate. This is how he was elected. By joining the presidential team, he is conning voters. But everyone expected him to do this.
Parliament reopens in Senegal in September following a summer recess. President Macky Sall will be hoping to use his new majority to make his mark ahead of the end of his term in 2024.
All right, time now for some other stories from across the continent. Germany has suspended, until further notice, all military operations in Mali. It has been taking part in the UN mission MINUSMA. Berlin denounced a new refusal to fly over the country by the Malian authorities. Ethiopia announced on Friday it has completed the third filling of its mega dam on the Blue Nile, a new milestone that could raise further tensions with neighbours. Ethiopia's massive hydroelectric dam project on a tributary of the Nile has already caused upset with Egypt, which depends on the river for 97% of its water supply. The former president of Burkina Faso, Roch Kaboré, has been authorised to leave his country for medical reasons. He is set to travel to the United Arab Emirates. It's his first trip abroad since being deposed last year. Now, skin bleaching is a growing trend in Cameroon, especially amongst women. Now, having light skin is considered by proponents of skin whitening as a sign of beauty, sometimes even wealth, a misconception widely spread amongst thousands of Cameroonian women that swear by skin bleaching products. Now, there are also increasingly products that you can drink that are claimed to have exactly the same effects. One MP in the country, Nouran Foster, has been advertising and selling a skin bleaching drink. Our reporters went to find out some more about that product.
This controversial drink has been heavily advertised for several weeks now.
I take collagen because it's amazing for my skin.
According to this businesswoman, who is also an opposition member of parliament, if you take this drink, it will bleach your skin. 34-year-old Nuran Foster runs a cosmetics company that is currently at the heart of a heated debate, since she launched this product that promises women whiter, more beautiful and younger skin.
There's collagen, alpha-arbutin, and glutathione. They're totally certified, they're organic, so they're safe. There's nothing to worry about.
Arbutin and glutathione are substances found in most products used for skin lightening. However, in pharmacies like this one, they are sold over the counter without prescription or medical oversight.
How much for the collagen?
Despite the risks involved, these drinks are in high demand by women who want to lighten their skin.
It lightens my skin. It makes my skin look elastic, and I always stay young. It lightens from the inside. I'm 60 years old, but I don't look it.
Experts say drinking so-called lightening products is a major health risk. Dr. Henriette Melo has been fighting against skin bleaching for years now. According to the renowned dermatologist, consuming molecules like alpha-arbutin can have serious consequences for the body.
Alpha-arbutin is close to hydroquinone. It's a product used to bleach the skin, and when you drink it, it can have other side effects, not only on the skin but on other organs. Because depigmentation is not only at the skin level, it can lead to other diseases such as hypertension, diabetes, and even skin cancer.
At her store, MP and businesswoman Nuran Foster says that the consumption of these so-called lightening drinks is perfectly within the law in Cameroon.
Now, in the aftermath of this report being aired on our French channel and under pressure from the health ministry, the MP in question, who was behind that product, announced on Facebook that she was closing all business interests linked to this skin lightening drink and other cosmetic products. She says she's been the subject of a media witch hunt. Now, today is International Elephant Day, and for the occasion this year in Malawi, the last batch of elephants to be relocated to Kasungu National Park has arrived at their new home. The elephants were moved from another Malawi park, Liwonde, due to overpopulation. Now, that's a good problem if ever there has been one concerning elephants because of concerns over extinction of the species. Now, 263 of them have been moved to this particular park since the 10th of June. All right, that's all for tonight's programme. Thanks for watching.